Hello, welcome to StereoPixel. In this video, we are going to discuss about how to create a worn edge effect in Blender. Now you can see this is the output that I'm talking about, where the edges of any metallic object has been worn off. This is my EV output, and you can see the same output has been can be called up in cycles, but I'm going to show you the EV because the EV is right now really super fast. So anyway, so you have seen this kind of effect which has been used in a lot of different films and television series or even games nowadays, and generally we use texture painting methods for creating this kind of worn edge effect, which has been used metal or the paint of that particular metal has been worn off after using it's like the object has been using for a very longer period of time. But now we, instead of using the texture painting method or manual painting method, I'm going to show you how you can achieve this in Blender with some procedural mappings. So here this is my so this is the maps that I'm going to use. The major map which is over here is I'm going to explain you which are the major maps that we have used and how to get them and how to connect and what is the connection between these map with the final output. So so for that, what you have to do is okay, so before we start any of the connection or explanation, first what we have to do is you have to go to edit and go to preference, and you just have to see that my node Wrangler is turned on or off, because we have a very specific use of node Wrangler, which is a very useful add-on, and which comes with the Blender itself. So what node Wranglers usually do is we just have to control shift and click on that particular shading node, which will directly now show you the output of that particular node in the viewport. So now this is my procedural PSDF map, which is the base map of this object, which you can see after wearing off of this red color paint. So this is the base shader. So if I want to see what is the base shader will look like on my object, I just have to click control shift and click on that particular shading network and that shader, and it will immediately what it's do is it's directly connected with the material output of that particular object. So now I'm seeing the output of this principal BSDF, not my not my mix shader output over here. So again, if I click control shift and click on that particular mix shader on that shader, it will show you that particular output. So that's why the node Wrangler comes to play very handy. Okay, so what I have done over here is, let me explain very clearly. So there are three shader which I'm going to use. One is the color one, which is the top of the top part of that particular metal, and there's an underlying metal object you can see where whichever the area has been worn off, that's visible through that. So that is the second one, and the third one is the mask itself, where I'm going to show you. It's a similar kind of method which you probably have used in Photoshop or any image editing software for masking. It's like that white or black color which has been preserved, and either one has been preserved and other one is actually showing the layer or the color behind that. So that's the same technique that we are using over here. So the base material already I have you can use any sort of metal texture from internet, or if you want to create by yourself by using procedural mapping, or maybe tile level texture by painting or using some photographic references. I have taken just a download one, the metal deck, and another one I have used you can see my, even though the red metal were even not been worn off, I have used some of the scratches, the random scratches with that particular the color, so that it will really show you that the object has been really old, or maybe it has been used for a longer time. So these two images that I have used externally, apart from that nothing has been used from the external source. So now you can see this is the image that I've been using in the base, and I have connected with this principal BSDF shader, and I've just connected the color to the base color, and I've used the roughness to give it a specular look with like a to give it a metallic look. And that's all, nothing, there is no use no other use of this image texture over here. And that has been connected oops that has been connected with the mix one of the mix shaders slot, which is my base shader over here. Okay, so yeah, now the other one which I've used, that is the metal, the metal which has been with the color or the paint. But here you can see I have used a little bit of scratches here and there by using this particular texture, the external texture that I have been downloaded, the scratch. So I have used this one, and I have connected the same thing with the roughness to not the color but the roughness over here, because I don't want this to be go to color. The color has to be yellow, sorry, the red one. The top paint has to be the red one, though here is the catch that you can anytime change the color of that particular metal object from here. So we are not going to change, we are not going to use any image texture for the base color, just using the scratch thing, and just connected with the roughness, but not the base color one. So that is something which is very important, because if you see, let me show you, this is a very simple BSDF material that I've been used. Now if you connect this color to my base color, what will happen, that will the texture will be directly connected as and taking up the color. So we don't want them, we want our color to be red, but these scratches that has been over there, that I want to be connected as a you can say a roughness. So you can connect this particular color to roughness, so that it's just show you that these portions has some scratches in different color. So that will affect another layer of that will create another layer of detailing over here. So these are the two shaders that I'm going to use, and apart from that, what I'm going to use is a color is a mask that is using with the black and white information, which I'm going to show you how to create this particular mask where only the edges has been separated specifically. So this is the color ramp. Sorry, after using the color ramp, I'm just clamped down the effect. The original mask image is a little bit of dull, which I have left it deliberately, because I want this particular color to be preserved. The gray amount has to be preserved while taking up this particular image. Now how to create this image, that I'm going to explain you very soon. So after that, I have used a color ramp, and I have just tightened up the black and white image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that how this thing has been done over here. So I'm just removing it from the factor of this mix shader. So now what is happening is it's just a mix of two different shaders, 50% of by using 50% of factor over here. And So okay, let's do this thing that has been the mask has been yeah, that mask that we have used. What we have to do is we have to add to a color ramp, you know, and you just have to pump up the this is the base color that we are just taking from the mask, and then what you have to do is you have to just pump up or uh, the color ramp values to make the black and white more prominent, so that but yet preserving the randomness of the value, so that the mask usually uh, uh, use in the mix shader prominently over here. So I want my mask to be prominently over on the edges. That's why I've creating this white part, and you can see that my the edges is not sharp, and that I have also taken deliberately over here and kept deliberately over here, and why I have using this particular, and how you are actually going to get this mask, that I'm going to explain you soon. So these are the three different factor that we are using over here. It's a very old, very age-old technique that we use. So there are two layers. One is I'm just summing up the entire thing. The first layer is the top layer is the painted one, which has certain scratches which I've used, which I've used a image and connecting with the roughness. Another one is the base one, which is again a principal BSDF with a metallic image, and the third one is a mask one, which I'm going to explain, because that is the one which give you a control over your edge warning effect. So now there are two different methods where you can get the black and white information of your object from as a black and white from your object, where the edges has been calculated as white and the entire other portion has been calculated in black. So the first one which we can get is the pointiness. The pointiness is very important one. Oops, sorry. Now the problem is the pointiness. You cannot see it on EV. You have to go to cycles first. This is something which is very important. And what we have to do is you have to use a color ramp to ramp the to clamp the distance. Now this is something really interesting, and you cannot get the pointiness information directly. This is very important. Now, why I have already told you that to turn on the node Wrangler, because it's very important. So what I am doing over here is really interesting. Let me do it from scratch so that you can get a very clear idea about it. First we have to add a geometry node. Cool. Now there I can get the pointiness, but the problem is that if you control shift click on that, it will show you the first option from this particular node, that is a position. So what we have to do is control shift and click 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So now the pointiness is actually connected with my viewer, and that viewer has been connected with the surface. So ultimately it's coming from the material output. Now what I have to do is I cannot get any information out of it, because it's all gray. So what I have to do is we have to add another node, that is a ramp, color ramp, and we have to pump it over here. So now I have to connected. I have to push the black a little more over there. I have to be very careful because it's very sensitive with the values. So now I have got my edge separated as a different color from black and white, but the problem is this edge is very sharp. It's not a random one. And also you have to remember one thing over here, that this cannot be done in EV. You have to use cycles, because cycles only can take out the geometry information for the pointiness, as well as another way where I'm going to use is the by using the ambient occlusion map over here, where I can get this particular edge with a random calculation of black and white. So my personal choice will be always using the ambient occlusion rather than the pointiness. But if you have a very specific use of or specific requirement of this kind of output, where the edges has to be a little bit more sharp, or less random, then I think you should use this particular pointiness instead of ambient occlusion. Now let me show you how the ambient occlusion actually we can use ambient occlusion over here. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to just add the ambient occlusion, first one. Cool. Now when you use ambient occlusion and you hit inside option, because that will create a division of these two, and because there is no other contact information, and then you have to add a ramp, color ramp, to just now you can see fine. Now what you have to do is, after that you have to do one more stuff, because my distance value is still very low. I would like to pump up a little bit more. Yes, maybe. Yeah, see, 2.1, or I mean I have used 2.1 itself, so 2.1 will be, I think, yeah, 2.1, where we can act really I'm happy with that, because this will actually going to help me to get a lot of detail, because it's not a proper white over here, so this is a gray value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bake this image out, and I'm going to use the same image as my mask later on. So how we can actually create or bake a particular image from this particular ambient occlusion output. So this is something which is really interesting in this particular task. So what we have to do is you have to take up a image texture node, and you have to hit new one, just rename it mask 2 maybe, and you can use anything, like you just turn on the 32-bit float, because that's very important, because 32-bit float actually can store a lot of color data. If you think in terms of the gradiency from black to white, so so that when we are going to use the clamp from by using the color ramp, that will give us immense amount of color variance to clamp down. So fine, great. Now I want this mask hues is fine. Yeah, I think this is absolutely fine. And color space, I don't want it for I want it from non-color because there is no color information values so it has to be black and white. Cool. Now what I have to do is we have to select the object and we have to also select the image texture. Now after that you have to come to the render properties and I just want to point out over here, this is a very important one, that I don't want my render or the render output to be higher sampling, because then what I'm going to lose is all these rough informations, because these are the informations which is actually giving me a randomization over the edges, which is a really important one. So let me tell you very clearly, this is the key for taking out this baking action. So if you go to let's suppose if you pump up to okay, let it be 16, the viewport, let me pump up this one. Now you can see slowly my calculation has become way more smoother. You can see, because I have increased the sampling value to 128. If you more increase the value, what will happen, all these rough information will be converted into the smooth information. So I don't want them to be smooth, to be honestly. The reason is that's a very tricky one. So what I'm going to take down is I want a rough color information, so that what will happen is that after using this, you can see this randomness will actually it's actually going to happen. Otherwise this will be again smoothen up the entire mask. So what I'm going to do is this one. Now I have to select the object, then shift select the mask, and I have to hit bake. But before that, the bake type has to be emit. Now why I'm baking it from emit, it's very important one. So now you have to be very careful, because you need to connect this color ramp now. So I have control shift and click, so the alpha has been connected. So now you have to be careful that your alpha is not connected, only the color has been connected. So now what I have to do is so what I was saying is, why we need to put the bake type in emit, because the viewer which has been connected while we are using the node Wrangler is actually coming from the emission of this viewer. So that channel will be baked, and the information will be stored as the color values. So this is the reason we need to use the emit from the bake type has to be emit. So select the object, and you have to select the mask, the image texture that you are going to use, and then hit bake. Now let the object the image to be baked. Cool. Now one more thing you have to do is that go to the texture pane. Now you see that image has been baked, and this is mask 2. Now one thing which is the most important thing is you can see there's a star mark over there in behind the image 1. So that means the image has not been saved, which I know a lot of you people are already aware of. So that means I have to save this particular image. Now if we are not saving this image, remember, every time you open this particular file, you have to bake it, and then you have to save this particular image. This image is not going to save automatically. So what I have to do is use a mask and save that. Now the asterisk or the star sign has been gone. I'm going back to my uh, uh, workplace, and here you can see the mask 2 has been connected. So now this is the one which I'm going to use in my uh, in my uh, texture. Now okay, so now initially this this is the same thing which I have shown over here itself. Okay, so now what I have to do is uh, now I cannot use this. What I have to use a color ramp which has been used over here. So I'm just replicating the same thing which I have been already been explained to you. So what I have to do is go to search and a color ramp. A bit over here, and that's it. Cool. Done. Now what I have to do is put this into the factor of this particular mix shader, and then it's done. So how much clamping you want, it's up to you now. So more you clamp, more edges will be worn off. And the most important thing is now I can get rid of cycle. Remember, the baking part cannot be done in EV because EV is not supporting the baking for the ambient occlusion or the pointiness from the geometry. This is something really important you need to remember. So I can as my object has been the image has been baked, and I have already connected it to the mix shader, and after using the color ramp, now I can easily come into the EV, and you can see immediately everything is working. So let me this is the same thing, this is a mask. So let me just recollect everything, recall everything what I have done. So there are 3 shaders which I'm using. One is the top color part, the paint part, the bottom one, the base metal one, and the mask. And so there are 3 objects that I'm going to use. The mask I can achieve, or I can get from by using the geometry node from the pointiness, which will be way more sharp or pretty precise, where I can use the ambient occlusion inside ambient occlusion, and then by using color ramp I'm just clamping them down, and then what I can do is I can create a mask image, and I should bake that out from my object by selecting this one, and also by selecting this one and an image texture, and then I can club them into a mix shader, and also the mask one into the factor of the mix shader, and I can get the desired result over here. So this is a very systematic one which you can control anytime, and you can control them. You can control this one. You can change the colors anytime. You can change the amount of your worn out part. That I want a less worn out, so I don't have to repaint the entire thing. That's the most important thing of using the positive side of using the procedural mapping, that I can simply go over here and increase or maybe decrease the white portion, or maybe increase the black portion, and immediately you can see the edge worn effect has been minimized. So this is a very important one, which is which if I'm going to achieve it through via just texturing, you have to paint it at least 3 different version of it, whether how much worn out effect you want. So this way you can minimize a lot of correction, or a lot of time. You can minimize a lot of production time, or save production time from here. So hope you enjoyed this. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you very much.